Amazing, beautiful people, and welcome back to another reaction video. AniNews is slowly becoming one of my favorite freaking channels on YouTube, especially when it comes to solo leveling content. And honestly, I think I'm just gonna dive deep into solo leveling. I think I'm gonna check out every single recap video from season 1, all of the content around it, as long as it's not anime spoilers. Like, keep the recommendations coming, you know? Because I really want to explore all of this, all the stuff that was left out from the books and everything. Like I said, as long as the videos don't spoil any future episodes for the anime, I'm happy to react to them. And AniNews just makes the best freaking videos, like describing more and more detail on solo leveling. And I feel like it's just enhancing my viewer experience. And you guys seem to be loving these reactions, so let's just keep doing them because I am loving making them. And this video right here is one that's been recommended a lot, and that is everything you need to know about guilds in solo leveling. Now, I don't know anything about guilds, like in terms of actually what they significantly do other than the brief information we've been given. So this sounds pretty awesome, and this sounds like information again that's going to enhance the experience. So let's do it. Huge shout out to AniNews. Link to their channel is in the description. Please like this video, please subscribe if you want more reactions like this. We are so close to 50,000 subscribers now, so please press subscribe. And let's jump into my first time ever reaction to AniNews is everything you need to know about guilds in solo leveling.
Guilds in solo leveling are so much more than just a joint group of high-level hunters. Their revenue rivals even the biggest of corporations, their power the strength of entire nations, and their influence enough to sway even governments. What makes guilds such an interesting topic to cover though is the unique way in which they've been integrated into solo leveling society. Everything from the way they treat hunters to the way they've commodified hunting just makes sense in terms of how it'd be in our own society. They've turned the very act of raiding into a business. One that's by far the most profitable in the entire world now. So, in a field where billions of dollars are at stake...
I never really thought about the fact that how solo leveling portrays it is actually how it probably would be in the real world.
The Guild's Gate was nothing more than an investment. It was a means to gain access and siphon any and all loot available from within them. Only after a strict 4-stage process was completed would any high-level guild truly consider the gate they're raiding finished. So it's that way these guilds are portrayed as fundamentally different from the more traditional fantasy guilds that makes me want to talk about just how much they are. Especially since in the anime they're slowly starting to become more prominent. We've seen hints as to the fame, power, and influence they possess, but in this video here I want to portray the full scope of just how much of it they possess. It'll be a spoiler-free breakdown of everything you need to know about them.
Nice.
Now, since we are 8 episodes...
This is why I fucking love AniNews. Like, there's so many videos out there that, like, don't say that, you know, don't have the spoiler-free breakdowns, or like don't say they do, and they're like hard to know which ones do and which ones don't. And I love that AniNews makes videos for the anime-only people like myself.
For guilds, I think the best place to start is with what they do. Their primary purpose is to organize hunters and clear gates, but in the decade that gates have been around for now, they've grown from this vital institution that protects the people into something more like a hunter talent agency combined with a gate-clearing business. They immediately headhunt any hunters that's rank B or above, get them raid ready as fast as possible, then send them out to clear gates so that more money can be made and the process repeated. It's not the exact way it works for every guild, but it seems the direct goal of most is to grow their ranks and accumulate power. Power which can only be attained through money. This is something that'll make sense a little bit later, but for now just know that money and power go hand in hand with guilds.
It does seem like that, right? I mean, everything they do is to get stuff to make money, you know? Like, other than getting materials from the dungeons, I wonder if there's other ways they make money, which maybe we'll find out later. That's maybe what AniNews was hinting to here. Because it does seem to be like, the more people you got out there, imagine it like this. Imagine you got a giant mine in front of you. The more people you have mining in that mine, the more material you're going to find, right? And that's pretty much what these guilds are.
As for the way guilds acquire business, well, when a gate opens up, it's immediately investigated by the association. The association measures the amount of magical energy being emitted from the gate, then based on that, it'll assign the gate a rank. This rank would then dictate the gate's level of difficulty, and that alone would be enough for a guild to determine whether a gate was worthwhile or not. Mainly because difficulty determines the level of monsters, and the higher level of the monsters, the more valuable the loot. So, it's when a gate is finally deemed worth doing by a guild that's when they must partake in a bidding war in order to acquire the rights to it. They can't just show up and walk in because until given a permit that says otherwise, all gates are fully owned and under the jurisdiction of the association.
I didn't know that.
Oversees all hunter activities
I might have been
in
mentioned,
the
but I
entire
don't
country,
remember that.
They alone have the power to determine who can do what with gates.
Okay.
So, guilds bid against each other to acquire whatever gates they see fit, and the ones that remain are usually left to either freelancers or the association hunters. It's a standard process that typically leaves B and A rank dungeons to the larger guilds, C rank dungeons to the small guilds, private parties, and freelancers, then D and E rank dungeons to the hunters too weak to join anyone but the association. It's tough to say just how much each of these gates would sell for, but we do know that the standard price for C ranks are between $50,000 to $75,000. The return from them is at most $150,000, so based on that logic, you can expect guilds to bid upwards of 50% of what they plan to get back in return. Then, as it is with most things in the hunter world, the money earned from gates goes up exponentially the higher rating it is, likely making B ranks worth somewhere in the millions, and A ranks I would expect to be up there in the hundreds of millions. I mean, why else would Jinho be giving away $22 million just to become a guildmaster?
True.
There was just that much profit to be made in the gate-clearing business. It's hard to convey exactly how much, but the way the novel describes it is that the profits are enough to rival even the largest corporations. There were copious amounts of money to be made from the sale of magic crystals, monster corpses, and items like artifacts and runestones. Sure, you didn't have to be a hunter to deal in this type of business, but...
See, this is something I was curious about, because it's like, where money is being made in the guilds and in the dungeons and that sort of stuff, is it from the, like, the acquiring and selling of these magical items? Is that where all the money comes from? Does the money come from anywhere else, or is it like just that, specifically that?
Whatever transactions were made with them had to be done, and obviously in the more as an intermediary.
Obviously in the more complicated dungeons, you get more complicated and rarer materials, hence why those ones are more expensive, you know? It literally, putting it in layman's terms, it'd be like, you know, C rank, you're gonna get iron, B rank, you're gonna get freaking emeralds, and freaking A rank, you get diamonds or something, right?
A necessary middleman that formalized the sale of high-ranking goods like these. Naturally, this meant they received a cut of whatever was sold, so if you wanted to maximize profits and keep them to yourself, your best bet was to either join a guild or make a guild of your own. The only issue with that was that there were several rules that guilds needed to abide by. Yes, they did get plenty of benefits like reduction in tax when selling loot, but that and all the others came in exchange for being on call permanently. If there was ever a time when the association or government requested your aid, regardless of where you were or what you were doing, you would have to go whether you wanted to or not. A guild simply could not ignore a summons from the association. If they did, I'm sure the penalty would be guild disbandment or even the loss of their hunter license, but more than anything, the people responsible would have to deal with the disgrace of it all. They would have lost their reputation as the protectors of the people, and not a single nation on Earth would trust them to be able to fight for them again.
True, yeah.
Like, who's to say that they won't just ignore that call to act again? So, while being in a guild definitely came with its perks, it wasn't a decision that came very easily for a hunter. What I mean is that, because of the risk the hunting part of the job came with, choosing the right guild often meant increasing your likelihood of survival. An interesting fact that ties directly into this is that the success rate of clearing A-rank gates is actually higher than the success rate of clearing lower ones. You may think that a less difficult raid would make it easier to be completed, but when the lower rank raids are being taken by guilds striving to make a name for themselves, that also means they're willing to put a whole lot more risk on themselves. This often means going in with under-leveled and under-equipped hunters, general lack of synergy since some of the hunters likely haven't fought together, then all-around disorganization since the guildmaster's sights are simply set on making money.
Actually makes a lot of sense when you think about the fact that it's the equivalent of like having like me going out and picking out a few of my neighbors and us doing a dungeon to then me going out and getting my best friends and, you know, doing one. You know what I mean? Like that synergy, that chemistry, and that knowledge isn't going to be there. It's just a bunch of random people working together.
This in turn leads to more accidents, and it's those accidents which place smaller guilds into a much more ambiguous situation when compared to larger guilds. It makes them have to constantly recruit new hunters, despite them not actually being the best fit or even the right level. Now, when a large guild does finally obtain the permit for a high-ranking gate, they know how much money is on the line for completing it, and as such will dedicate every resource possible into doing so. Not only will that turn into copious amounts of money for them, but by completing the raid without any hassle whatsoever, it would show the association they're capable of doing more in the future.
That actually makes a lot of sense too. If if they're these high rank ones, like let's say it's an A one. Let's say in this house right now, I got 100 A rank, S rank hunters, right? And I get this dungeon, and all of them are just chilling about. Then I'm gonna send every single one of them into that dungeon, or like if like whatever I can do that's cost effectively to make sure it's completed without losing any people, any losses, and just getting as much profit as possible, right?
I mean, when you get to raids as difficult as the A rank, getting the permits for them was more than just outbidding the competition.
Fucking ants, man! I can't wait to see more of the ants. You had to show your strike
force was truly capable of it. So, when taking into
really
consideration
hope we do get to
the
see more of
difference
them
in
this
priorities
season.
between a small guild and a large guild,
They keep teasing us with the damn ants, man. I want to see more of the ants.
it's only natural you as a hunter would feel more safe joining a large guild. Small guilds tended to lose people more often in pursuit of making it big, whereas large guilds focused on securing the big scores in a way that was streamlined and efficient. It's two approaches to what was essentially the same task, yet one was refined and the other rough. The former of which just happened to be the safer one. If I was to compare this difference to anything, it would be best to think of it like a startup versus an already existing megacorporation.
Yeah.
Like, if a startup wanted to grow its business and cover its finances, it would have to take on clients it probably couldn't handle and constantly expand until it got to the point that it could handle them.
True.
Generally, that made their situation a whole lot more volatile, but it also meant they could expand their business faster. Now, exchange clients with gates and expansion with the constant recruitment of new hunters, and that's pretty much the relentless cycle smaller guilds have to deal with. It's just when a small guild fails, they're also losing people, not just money. Now, unfortunately, choosing a guild wasn't a privilege every hunter had access to, since at the end of the day, everything boiled down to rank. The E and D ranks were rarely, if ever, considered, then the C ranks were who the small guild recruiters would start lining up for. The B rank was where we start getting into large guild territory, and it's here the hunters within start to get a true choice in things. They would either get an attractive offer granting leadership or part ownership with a small guild, or a fat signing bonus as a standard rotation member in a large guild. Really, it was mostly up to personal preference, since the difference between the two was, would you rather be the head of a snake or the tail of a dragon?
I don't know. Which one gives me more money? I'll be more like, which was the better offer? The tail of the dragon with loads of money, or the head of snake with even more money? You know. And again, you want to live to spend that money, and if you're in a higher rank of guild, as we've just found, you will probably live longer to actually spend that money and enjoy it. I wonder if Jimmy will ever join a guild. We know he's been headhunted now, but.
The A rank was where large guilds started to make substantial offers, and along with it came the promise of things like fame and fortune.
Becoming part of
fame because you were guaranteed to be part of the guild's exclusive primary raiding team, and fortune because the financial reward from high-ranking dungeons was immeasurable. Combine this with a signing bonus in the millions, and you've essentially established yourself as one of the most coveted hunters in the nation. Should any of these offers not be to your liking, though, the A rank was always enough to go independent and create your own guild.
Oh, damn,
At that point, you were strong enough to attract competent enough hunters, and the money you'd make together would be enough to support a smaller medium guild.
Damn.
So, whenever looking at hunters at the A rank and above, joining a guild wasn't really necessary for them, since the money and power already came with the territory.
True.
What joining a large guild provided that no one else could, though, was that potential of fame should you become part of the main strike force.
Probably protection as well.
Unlike small guilds where the number of hunters was only enough for one strike team, larger guilds tended to have enough to have multiple. There was the A team, which consisted of the best the guild had to offer, and they alone would be the ones to go through and complete higher rank gates. The rest were teams of low-level hunters, and they would be sent to complete gates not worth doing by the main team. Occasionally, they would have stronger members lead raids with the weaker ones, but that was mostly for training so that the less experienced can become better.
Which we actually saw in episode 1 and 2 in a way, right? You know, I wonder what the deal is with the sitting people as well who want to learn a little bit, but we do see that the higher ranks will sort of join the lower ranks and help them. Which we've actually, like I said, we've seen.
So, with a constant influx of rookies bolstering their ranks, there was always a need for veterans to help them get experience.
Damn, bro.
A luxury the small guilds unfortunately couldn't afford, and is actually the core reason behind their increased number of accidents. In any case, should you be strong enough to earn a core place on a large guild's A team, then that was the equivalent of being on the starting lineup for an all-star sports team. Your name would be known to everyone who was a fan of the sport, and your status as a celebrity.
This like blonde girl, we've seen her pop up every now and then, but very rarely. I feel like she's gonna be big later down the line in the anime, but they're just teasing her at the moment as a character.
Pretty much cemented. This is due to the amount of press large guilds tend to get, and it's actually portrayed quite well in the anime. To explain a little bit more though, The relationship between a hunter and a guild was pretty similar to that of an entertainer and a talent agency. The guild was the platform through which hunters became known, and the hunter was the star over which guilds would fight for. So, say a new S-rank hunter had just made their appearance, the amount of resources every guild would put in to recruit them would be limitless, and the coverage of what guild that person was going to sign would be incessant. It's an event that would attract the attention of the entire nation, and is actually the reason every guild tends to have 1 or 2 informants planted within the Hunter Association. Since they're the first to know about everything hunter-related, not only would an informant get more details on gates worth bidding on, but they'd also be the first to know about what hunters were worth recruiting.
Yeah.
The primary asset that makes guilds what they are in this world. Even if a hunter wasn't going to sign...
It's funny, watching that guy break that block has now made me realize that if that guy wanted, he could probably destroy like half a city, you know?
Them
He
immediately,
just punch,
building a relationship
buildings.
was an essential part of starting the process. So, it's all this extra stuff in a field that should just be about killing monsters that really makes guilds so much more than what we usually get. I mean, they've even gone so far as to give us a subtle look into the dynamic between a guild's administrative staff and the hunters they manage. Since the number of capable hunters are finite, it wasn't so easy to replace them as it was with a regular worker. That being the case, the workers would always take extra care to mind the hunters and the mood they were in. They didn't want to do anything which would make the hunter leave, since every hunter was a valuable part of making the guild larger and stronger. It was an additional burden that only these non-hunter guild workers were privy to. Now, to finally focus on the actual act of raiding, this here was how the guilds capitalized on their investments. It was the core moneymaker of their entire operations and the sole reason they could grow to the size and scale they were at.
Again, I just want to pause just to say, shout out AniNews. Like, seriously, I've been loving the videos so far. The level of detail, information, and knowledge, as well as editing skill that goes into creating these videos makes them so damn captivating.
Like how it is in any business, though, the act of making money from dungeons had been refined to an art. A 4-stage process that ensured every last bit of profit could be made from it.
That shot is
first, the raid team
crazy.
would enter and eliminate every monster
kaboom.
aside from the boss, then after that a retrieval team would go in and drag out all the monster remains. Next, a mining team would enter and extract whatever minerals and crystals were embedded into the wall, then after that the raid team would go back in and finally kill the boss, thus closing the gate and ensuring everything that could be sold for money would be sold for money. Whether it be bones, hide, flesh, or teeth, every single part of a high-level monster was deemed useful in some way. So it was only after that and the crystals and the ores were siphoned from the dungeon that the guild would...
Random question. Has anyone ever captured a monster from a dungeon, brought it out, and just keeps it? Has that ever happened before? That sounds interesting. Would it survive?
The gate fully conquered. It was the optimal process to ensure every ounce of profit could be made from it. That money would then be put into buying more gates and recruiting even more hunters, and it was through this loop that a guild would constantly grow itself, forever expanding in hopes of one day becoming the largest guild in the entire country.
I want to see more of these ants!
That's not always the goal of every
Ants
guild,
are
but
terrifying.
it is the general ideal for those already large enough to compete for it. But yeah, that's the full extent of how guilds work in solo leveling. A core aspect of the series that I think everyone should know about. If you want to see more lore videos just like this, then be sure to leave a like and let me know in the comments. Now, before I go, I'm just gonna leave this as a little teaser.
What? Evidence of your resistance. I don't know what this means. No idea. But there you go. Right, huge shout out to AniNews for putting together this video. I've been watching a bunch of AniNews' content recently, and it's been absolutely wonderful to check out. The man is a legend. This is actually very interesting. The way the guilds are like presented is curious because, like AniNews mentioned, these have been showcased in the series so far. Like, it's not like they're ignoring it, but it is the idea of what they do when they get there, and like the bidding war, and how they treat like S ranks, and the organizations being a bit corrupt with having people inside the other organization, like the guilds being corrupt, having people inside the organization that handles the gates as well. So the process is literally a gate pops up, that gate goes to the organization then auctions off that gate, and guilds buy it. Any that aren't auctioned off go to freelancers or the agency's own hunters, which Jinwoo and other people were part of, right? Which I'm guessing is what we saw on the phone, and those are the ones that they can like sort of click on and join, you know? literally like a video game, you know? How much money can I make from these missions? Oh, I can make this much money from this mission, this much money from that mission. And literally like that. And I'm guessing based on your rank and your skill, you're either approved or denied for those gates, right? Which is what we've literally seen before. The bidding war and that sort of stuff, and as well as being treated like an A-list freaking superstar by the guilds, is interesting. And the like what they do in order to get like how much money they make from them is interesting, and also the products inside that they get. Because I wasn't sure if it was just the gems. This is why I asked for. Is it just the gems and like they go in there and they just mine? But no, they literally take everything. They take the bones, the creatures, every little speck of everything they can get. They take it all out. And the other thing that I find interesting is knowing that the higher ranked guilds have like a higher survival and like success rate, which when pointing it out makes sense, but it wouldn't have been what I would have guessed, because you would presume that the lower ranks would have a higher success rate because they're lower, they're safer. But knowing that the higher ranks have one makes sense, you know? It's like, oh, well, I guess it does make sense. They're the professional ones. But the danger is more significant too, you know? Like an S rank. Now, we haven't seen an S rank gate other than the references to the ant thing, which I think was an S rank, but I'm even not 100% sure about that. And that whole island had to just be left. But we've seen references to that island a little bit. Now, the whole reason I'm so curious about the ants is because how they were presented in the first episode, the fact that they were like flying and how they keep talking about it, makes me feel like it's going to be something really significant and terrifying. So I am looking forward to them hopefully addressing that a little bit more, as at the moment it's just been a background thing. But where we go from now in the latest season, I honestly don't know. But it's nice knowing a little bit more about the guilds, especially when I feel like they're going to be playing a factor soon, considering how the last episode went down and the guy literally saying he wanted to recruit Jinwoo. And I feel like maybe we're going to start seeing developments in the guilds sort of take place as Jinwoo becomes known as well, because he's not going to be able to stay hidden forever. So as he becomes known, if he does get like remeasured, is it going to show him as like a higher rank now? Is it? And like once the world starts knowing who Jinwoo is, I'm guessing guilds are going to want to start recruiting him, as we've already seen one of them wanting to. So that's going to be interesting. And the same way Jinwoo can detect how strong someone else is, I'm guessing other higher ranked hunters can maybe do that too. So will they be able to detect immediately how strong Jinwoo is too? And then he won't be able to keep it a secret. So that's why I find a video like this very interesting, because it feels like guilds are going to be playing a big hand in the future of this season. So knowing a little bit about them helps to understand how they're going to approach the situation, and maybe a bit behind the scenes stuff. Like I said, I really want to do like just these deep dive reactions into more of Solo Leveling, because it helps a lot when I'm loving this series as much as I am. And like I said, I can't even explain why I love Solo Leveling so much. I just think it's fun. That's literally it. I have so much fun watching it. I don't stop smiling, I don't stop yelling, I don't stop cheering. I have so much fun watching it. I feel like I'm consuming so much Solo Leveling content that it is... I feel like every single time I react to a video, it just grows in how much I love this series and the book and everything. It's just awesome. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed my reaction. Once again, shout out to AniNews. Link to their channel is in the description, so go support them as well. And if you enjoyed my reaction, please like, please subscribe to this channel, and let's see if we can hit 50k. Have a wonderful day, and as always, my friends, you will see me in the next video.